So, Jim, here at Bionic Buzz, we're all about people's passions. I want to know where your passion for comic books originally came from. A certain issue you were reading as a kid that made you want to get in the industry, or is this always naturally for you?
Well, I was raised in Detroit,
Hmm.
and Detroit in the 1950s was kind of a cultural wasteland. And so when I sort of discovered comics, probably from the Superman and Batman things of the 1950s,
Hmm.
and later on, things expanded out. You got Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, uh, Adam Strange, these kind of characters. There was
Yeah.
no Marvel at that point. It was all monster books.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, there was just no Ant-Man, Spider-Man, and that. And I remember I think, in junior high, and the first issue of the Fantastic Four came out. And after that, it was a matter of me just eating this stuff up and soaking it up. There were some memorable things. There was a Death of Superman book that really touched me, which may have been an inspiration down the line to the Death of Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Though Marvel approached me to kill him off, so I can't say there's a direct line, but that probably helped me in where I wanted to go with it.
Okay. Let's
Yeah.
walk through some of your creations. How'd you came up with them? How about obviously Thanos at the beginning? Yeah.
Well, Thanos was originally from a psych class I took at a junior college after I got out of the service.
Oh.
Had a guest speaker coming in and talking about the darker and lighter sides of human nature, Thanos and Eros. And from there, I sort of realized that we all got these really nasty and dark things in us.
Yeah.
You know, there may be maybe just little nasty and dark things, but there is something in all of us that we don't want to reveal to anybody else. And with Thanos, he's not a character who shies away from that. He revels in those darker urges and acts upon them. And I think that may be one of the appeals of him, is the fact that he is so unrestrained in his anger. And it's a way for all of us to sort of vent. I know with me, with the writing of it, uh, I have a bad day, I take it out on the typewriter and write a Thanos story or something like that, rather than beat up my cats.
Yeah.
You know?
And then you did Gamora, with the adopted daughter Thanos.
Yeah, Gamora was brought in as a balancing act, to tell you the truth. The Warlock book was kind of a sausage fest for the most part, with Thanos, Pip, and Warlock. So I figured it needed a feminine touch, and she was brought in and quickly became the adult in the room right from the start. A role which she carried on right into the Guardians.
Yeah.
And she has kind of an interesting visual origin in the fact that this character who's become sort of a feminist icon in her own way, her visualization came off from a European skin mag.
Oh, really?
Yes, I was hanging around with this artist named Alan Weiss, who did a lot of photorealistic work, and so he had a huge collection of, quite frankly, skin bags that from Europe all over the place he would do it, so just so he could get the lighting right. And I was over at his studio one day and just leafing through one of these things as we were talking, and this gal in this leotard shows up, a fishnet leotard with some black wig on, and I was saying, that's a really interesting image if you add a couple of skulls and a belt and that.
Yeah.
And the strange thing was that this Spanish artist, Esteban Maroto, he obviously saw this same Victorio over in Europe, and about the same time that Gamora shows up, the story in a Creepy or Eerie magazine that he drew shows up, and it's really apparent that we both got this from the same source.
Oh, wow.
He did the black hair and that much farther down than I did, and he did some other elaborations, but
Yeah.
they could be sisters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a really good story. And then speaking of Guardians, he did Drax the Destroyer. Yeah.
Well, Drax was originally going to be Thanos' kryptonite.
Okay.
I knew I had a powerful character there, and the idea was to have him come along, constantly trying to kill Thanos, and probably be a foil for Thanos in the fact that Drax would screw up some of his plans. I sort of abandoned him for the longest time and only brought him back after the Infinity Watch. And I think it was Jim Shooter had done a story where Moondragon had killed him with a mental blast, and so he was constantly resurrecting. And this time I thought, well, I'm going to bring him back as a dummy. He's has the personality of a child when he's in the Infinity Watch, and it's kind of interesting because the cinematic version has sort of taken that and softened the edges of the and put him in the more modern outfit, more modern look that he has. And Batista and the Gun, I think, have just created a terrific little character that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get into the movies, one of my favorite animated versions of Thanos was Marvel's Superhero Squad. I know it was like a kids-based show, but they got the voice, the guy who did Pete the Cat did the voice of Thanos in it, and it was like the main story arc in season 2. Did you ever get to see that?
No, I heard about it, and I think I tried to find it at some point or another, but I missed all that stuff.
Okay.
I understand Pip the Troll was in there somewhere also.
Yeah, the cool thing is they all looked like they were back in the comics back in the day too. Drawing was.
Yeah, it's different. It's a different medium.
Yeah. So obviously, the movies, you got to be really proud of how it came out for the Guardians and Avengers and Thanos.
I am stunned. You know, there had been a lot of bad superhero movies out over the years. We won't name them to be kind.
Yeah.
But you know, the fact that I had 3 of my characters and the conflict come out there, and it's all been hits out of the ballpark. I figure I'm the luckiest cartoonist out there in the world.
I think you had to enjoy his blade was like a homage to his helicopter.
Yes, that's the one thing I'm never going to forgive the Russos and Marcus and Neely for, the fact that they brought back the memory of the Thanos helicopter. Yeah. It was faded nicely, and they did this movie, and now I've had people tell me that writers have credited me with creating the Thanos helicopter, and it makes me want to jump out a window.
All right, so for fans who can't be here at San Diego Comic-Con, how could they get like an autograph from you? Is there an online place or any upcoming conventions, appearances you'll be at?
It's mostly conventions.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in Raleigh next week, and I have other places I'm going to over the summer. That's basically it. You know,
a website we can stay in touch with or follow?
I have a
media?
Facebook and Instagram, and I try to keep up with that. A lot of times it becomes dusty from disuse, but basically that's my one sort of PR place out there right now. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much.